open it with Photopea. Okay, everybody knows how to do that by now, so that should not be a complicated thing to do. Excuse me. So the thing that seems to be giving kids a hard time is the photograph of yourself. Okay, when you take a photograph and you save it, there's two ways that I would recommend getting it from your phone to your Chromebook to Photopea. One way is when you take it with your phone, send it to your Google Drive. If you can't send it to your Google Drive, then you can send it to your email. And from there, when you download a photo on a Chromebook, it will put the photo in a Google Drive folder for you. So it will be there. It may take a little bit of looking, but I promise you the photo will be there. So I'm going to go over to my Google Drive. And this is a photograph I took early this morning. And so I'm going to use this the way that you guys would use it in your class project. So we're going to double click on the picture. And from here, I'm going to choose Open With, and I'm going to do Photopea. So now you're going to notice that I have two Photopea tabs open at the top of my screen, and each one has pictures on it, but I need to get both of those images over into the same document. And so all I have to do is just copy and paste. And in the last week, I've found out a lot about Photopea and some unique things that it does. So if I want to select my picture right here, I can do a Control-A. That selects the whole picture, and you'll see that there's little marching ants there. Then I can do Control-C. Okay. From there, I can go to my other Photopea tab and do Control-V. Now, here we go. It worked. If it doesn't work, what you'll need to do, if you get a message that says you can't move one or copy and paste, what you'll need to do is come over here to the little three dots on the side and go to Settings. And from Settings, if we type in Privacy, or we click on Privacy over here, we can see Site Settings. And so if I click on Site Settings, I'll look at Photopea. I have allowed my clipboard right here to be able, for Photopea to be able to use my clipboard. If yours says it's blocked, you need to change that. But that setting I found out this week. The other thing is in Photopea, before you copy and paste from one layer to another layer, you need to make sure that you've done Control-A to select the whole thing. Okay, so let's get back to my Photopea that has both of my images in it. And you'll notice right here, my image is quite large. So what I can do, I'm going to get rid of it real quick so you guys can see a couple of things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my original Photopea with my picture in it, and I'm going to choose the crop tool because I don't need the entire picture. I just need just my face. So from here, I'm going to crop, and I press Enter to commit that crop. Next, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I have, let's see, I'm going to Control-D to deselect. Control-A first, then Control-C. Then I'm going to come over here and Control-V. Okay, so now I've pasted my pumpkin pasted my face onto my pumpkin. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the opacity of my face so that I can see the size of it in relation to the pumpkin. Okay, I may need to do a Control-T to resize, or actually it's Control-Alt-T in Photopea. I just hit the wrong one. Let's see, Control-Alt-T. If Control-Alt-T keeps giving you this message, which sometimes it will, there's simply another way of doing it. You can go to Edit and choose Free Transform. And from Free Transform, then we can go ahead and resize. It works the same as the keyboard command. Sometimes the keyboard commands don't work on certain Chromebooks, and that's fine. There's always ways to get around this. So we're going to click and get your face lined up. Your face wants to be pretty much the big size of the pumpkin. You may want to go in and resize things later, but you don't want to put the face itty-bitty inside the pumpkin. So I like the face shape right there, so I'm going to click on the check. So I committed my bounding box. Now I'm going to raise my opacity back up so I can see my face again. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the Lasso tool. When I do the lasso, I'm just going to get a really quick, messy selection of my face or of my mouth. As a matter of fact, I probably need to add to that selection a little bit because it looks like I may have clipped out a little bit of my lip. So I added that. Next, I'm going to do Control J. What that does is it puts just my mouth on a layer by itself. Now I'm going to zoom in so I can see what I'm working on a little bit better. And if I use my hand right here or the space bar, I can adjust this. Next, we're going to create a layer mask. Use the layer mask that's at the bottom of the layers panel. It looks like a little Japanese flag. So when I click on that mask, it gives me a white box over here. White reveals, black conceals. So what that means is that if my mask is white, I can see my lips. But there's part of my mouth that I want to hide. So I'm going to click on my paintbrush. And I'm going to get black for my color. Now for my brush options, I probably want about a medium hardness brush, maybe a little bit less. I don't want it to be super hard or super fuzzy. If I do it too hard, the lines will be really definite and they'll show up a lot. If I do it too soft, then my lips will look fuzzy. So I'm going to get a bigger brush. And what I'm going to do, I'm on my layer mask on the layers panel. I'm going to paint with black. And as I paint with black, it's erasing part of the outer skin part of my mouth. Okay. And so I'm going to try to get a little bit closer in there. For the sake of time, I may go kind of quickly. Okay. So, and I think I definitely need some chapstick this morning. So I have my mouth selected. The reason that we do this instead of, erasing, which somebody yesterday in class said, why can't we just erase? If I were to accidentally erase part of my lip, it's gone. But if I'm using layer mask, I can bring stuff back even though I've temporarily hidden it. So remember that white reveals, black conceals. So I just painted part of my lip with black so it hid it, but I want to bring it back. So I'm going to paint it back with white and now I can see it over there. Takes a little bit of practice to get used to layer masks. The next thing that we're going to do is an adjustment layer for colors. So I'm going to go to click on, let me show you again, the little black and white circle in the lower corner of the layers panel. I'm going to go to Hue and Saturation. From here, your hue and saturation may be a little bit different for you guys than it is in Photoshop. The first thing I'm going to start to do is turn my hue until I get an orange color. Sometimes it's kind of hard to find where the orange would be. So I'm going to say it's right about here. Okay. And what I noticed is that when I colored when I clicked on my hue and I started changing things, it's adjusting to the entire document. So it's also changing my pumpkin. And I only want it to change the lips. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on my hue and saturation layer. Let's try that again. And I want to choose a clipping mask. Once you do the clipping mask and you adjust the slider, it only makes it change on your actual mouth itself. So I'm going to try to get as close to orange as I can. And then if I make it a little bit brighter and adjust my saturation, you'll see that the color intensity gets a little bit more. And so then after my intensity is better, I can go in and try to adjust the mouth a little bit more. And I can change the lightness or the darkness. I want to make it look like my lips are part of the pumpkin. So I got pretty close right there. In the Photoshop instructions, it'll tell you to click on colorize, but for Photopea, we don't have to. So now we have our hue and saturation. And I can move this. Whoops, I'm going to go to a move tool and should get rid. Let's try the brush tool. Okay, so when I look over here at my hue and saturation panel, I noticed that, or on my hue and saturation layer, I noticed that it made a mask the same way it did on my layers for my mouth. And it also turned my teeth orange and my tongue. So what I want to do is I'm going to paint with black. The keyboard command to switch from white to black or foreground to background is the X key. To get the default colors back up, you can do the D key. D is for default, X is for switching colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint with black on my hue and saturation layer so that I can bring my teeth and my tongue back to a normal color. If I mess up and I accidentally change part of my lip, like I just did in that example, I'm going to hit the X key to switch to white, and I can paint back and it'll bring back that adjustment layer. Okay, from here you can go in, and if you decide that you need to change the color just a little bit, you can do so. I can't really give you a color combination for your picture because everybody's photographs are a little bit different. And so that will get you the basis of what we're going to do. And then the next thing you would do is we would turn the face back on again. That is disturbing. And I'm going to get my hand tool and I'm going to move my image up here. If I come over here and I click on my properties icon on the bar on the left side or on the right side by the panels, I can get those back up. Now the next thing I'm going to do, or I can close those out, I am going to select my eyes. So I'm going to kind of make like a figure 8. I want to include my eyelashes if I can. So I'm going to select that and I'm going to do Control J, just like I did a while ago. Now you'll notice that when I did Control J that time, it copied the hue and saturation layer, which is not at all what I want to do. So I've got to make sure that after I turned on the visibility, because this is a common mistake students are making, so I want you guys to see it firsthand so you know. After you turn on the layer visibility, you actually have to come down here and click on your layer. So let's do the lasso again, so you guys can see kind of how some of you are making mistakes and how to fix that. So I'm going to select my eyes. Now when I do Control J, you'll see that it made a new layer for my eyes. So here's my eyes. I'm going to repeat the same steps I did with the mouth using the masking and hue and adjustment layer to finish out this pumpkin, and then I would be done with the lesson. Whenever you do a lesson with, there's one coming up that has a celebrity in it, I do want you to include the original picture of the celebrity so I can recognize who it is. Anyway, if you have questions, remember, always send an email. Please don't send me questions on Google Classroom. I've got my comments turned off. They don't automatically email me because I do have so many students that have questions or need help. So email is the fastest way to ask me questions. Okay, I hope this helped some of the confusion and cleared things up.